At this point, I hope you have kind of gotten to understand how to draw content out of this content kind of selection area and put it into your script area and order it how you want it for presentations. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to kind of edit what a slide looks like on the screen and how to create templates for different types of slides. So for example, you may want your hymns to have a certain background, or you may want your scriptures to have a certain background or a certain look to them. This is not the most intuitive software for doing this, but I hope I can explain it pretty well. So first of all, what we're going to do is I'm going to just drag over a hymn that we can use as an example. So my song is Love Unknown. You can see here it comes with this kind of purple and blue curtain template, kind of the Northern Lights sort of look to it, which I think is pretty ugly, to be honest. So we're going to change it. So clicking on this, by clicking on this little edit button here with the little pencil tool. And this is going to be the edit window, and you can edit templates for this for any sort of thing. You can see here templates that are already stored for easy selection, and you can also just edit say a song one-off, just for one particular song, and not have it go to any others. So the best way to understand this is by looking at these slides, or these tabs rather, up at the top. So you have your general information, which honestly I don't think you would need to change very much. You can see all your verses here, a preview of what the slide's going to look like. And then you're going to have different layers represented by these tabs at the top. So the main object is always going to be your verses or your text. So if we click through these verses, you'll see that the main object is actually the verses of this hymn. Your title is actually going to be a little bit different. It's going to be above the main object. Then back behind the main object, you're going to have other objects, which are going to include your background principally, but also your copyright information if you have any, and your title screen, which is also considered an other object. We're going to come back to those later. So first of all, let's go to main object, which again is going to be your actual verses of your hymn or your prayer text or what have you. This is where you can change the font size, the color of the text, italicized or not underlined, for instance, these sorts of things. Pretty straightforward, what you'd see in any kind of word processor. Say if we don't like Arial, let's find another readable text like, say, Impact. That's not very readable. Actually, I'm just going to leave it at Arial because that's pretty readable. Again, text size, color. So for instance, if you had a very light color, white wouldn't show up very well. So maybe you would want to choose a dark color like black or dark gray or dark blue. And again, you just want to prioritize readability because that's the most important thing for text like this. Okay, now moving back to, let's talk about the background a little bit. Let's go to other objects. And here, down at the bottom in this kind of small pane, we see layers of other objects. So this one down here with kind of the shape icon is going to be our background. And it's got this kind of Northern Lights thing. There's some others that we can choose from. For instance, here's like a little bubble video. So we can have videos in the background. It's kind of fun. Doesn't really go with this hymn. So let's choose another background by clicking on this folder. And you can go through any images that you have or videos. Certainly there are a lot of videos that are made for this sort of thing. They're a loop. So for instance, this painted hillside loop is a great background, I think. And pretty readable since it's fairly dark and our text is pretty light. And if we click play, we can see how the clouds just move behind the text, and yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Let's choose an image. Let's do this one of, I think these might be coffee beans. Can't really tell. It's a little bit busy, but I think that's fairly readable. It would be on a screen where the background's a little bit more faded because of the light. Here you can adjust what the image looks like. So full scale is actually going to be the actual size and aspect of the picture. So you see these little black bars on the sides. Those aren't very good. I dislike having that. So to get rid of those, it's going to stretch the picture across the screen. And the main thing is you just don't want it to look distorted. So try not to do that. Yeah, try not to do that. And we'll click OK. And so now all our verses for this hymn are going to have kind of this coffee background. If we click play, we'll see it here in the corner and move through. Let's look at another possible scenario by going back into Edit. And let's go into Other Objects and change our background to something that let's see. Let's try this one. Something where you wouldn't want the text to cover up part of the background. So let's go OK. So notice how it may not look very good with the text covering up the tree or the grass. So let's change that a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that. There's some slides where there'll be an image on the left or on the right or on the bottom, or maybe it's particularly hard to see at the top. And so you're going to want the text to be in a very readable spot on the slide, and I can show you how to do that real quick. Well, first of all, for this title slide, remember it's considered another object. We'll come up here to Title Screen, and see this text box? This is actually our title text box, and I'm going to resize it and see how it's just so light there it's hard to see. I'm going to drag it down to the middle or bottom of the screen, about right there. It looks better to me. Pretty readable there. And if we go back to our verses, we'll go to Main Object. And I don't really like how the text covers up this tree. And so all we have to do is we can click and drag this text box to make it smaller, like this. And that's going to make it so the text appears kind of in the best part of the slide. And we'll click OK. And we'll present that. And over here in our preview pane, you can see that this actually looks a whole lot better than it would if it were covering up the whole tree or the whole slide. And if you wanted to do scripture, it's basically the same way. So let's just choose Genesis 1 through, let's say 10. And drag that in. And then click Edit. It looks exactly like the hymn does. Of course, we have other objects. We have the Bible reference pane, which is going to be down here in the other objects. But the background is still here, and we can edit that to change it to, we could change it to beans if we liked that better. Maybe if you had an agricultural text, that'd be a good one, or the painted hillside is kind of a neat creation image. And again, you can change where the text actually appears on the slide by clicking and dragging this around wherever you want. If we go back to our General tab, let's talk about templates. So it's very likely that you're going to have a limited number of slide designs that you like and use most of the time. So instead of having to go in here and import the right background, move the text in the right part of the slide so that it's easily read, get the font the right color, it's a lot easier just to create that once and save it as one of your templates that you use pretty often. And that's in this box here. So if we click on this box, we'll see 6 templates. I don't particularly like any of these, so you'll want to overwrite them with ones that you like and use a lot. And it's very simple to do. What you'll do is you'll just create it how you like it. Say, for instance, this background here with the mountains, this text, I kind of like where it is. I like the color of it. And what we're going to do is press this down arrow, and we're going to save this template, and it's going to replace the default template that was already here. So we're going to click Save Template. And then OK. So now if we want to just do a regular scripture verse, let's just do John 4:1 through 8. Here we can select the templates directly from here, and since it's on the one we just created, it'll look like this. And we can drag it in, and that way we know that it looks how we like it. It's got the movie background, we like where the text is on the slide, we like the font, the color, all those sorts of things. But say if you have another template saved, you could say template 2, which maybe we want for Old Testament verses or something like that. You just do that and then drag it in that way. Let's say you want to create a new template. Let's just start from scratch. Let's open up a hymn. And let's do this A Prophet Woman Broke a Jar hymn. Since it's set on right here, our default, and you can tell it's a default by the little star, we'll drag that down and click Edit. And we want to change how that looks. So let's find a new background. Let's do this candle one. This is a good example. The title looks okay where it is. And the main objects, it's kind of hard to see over those flames of the candle. So let's draw it in a little bit like this. Maybe pull it up just a hair. This way it's pretty readable. And let's save this as just a brand new template. We're not going to override anything else. Let's change this to candle background. And then OK. So we have this this hymn. It's got a nice candle background. We can flip through it. Everything's really readable. And then you see in our templates down here, when you select new scripture or hymns, it's going to appear right here. So candle background. And as I said, this software, particularly in the area of editing slides, getting the backgrounds right, and saving templates, is not super intuitive. And I would commend to you to go into the help and training and tutorial section of the software to get a better idea of how this works. But I've just showed you the basics of how to do this.